Hello, welcome back to the Diary of Dating Over 50 with Tanya Lewis. I'm Tanya. Today we have an exciting guest, guys. We have a supermodel who returned from abroad, returned home, and found her Prince Charming, someone she had met before. Let's dive into the fascinating journey with some insight. Excuse me, with some insightful questions.
Hello, Tanya.
Hi, Tracy.
I love you. This is Miss Six Delicious. This is Miss Six Delicious. I know she's moving on.
Yes.
But I've celebrated her birthday with her. We modeled together, and she's been fun from day one. I enjoy her.
Our energy definitely matches.
Yes.
So, Tracy, who are you?
Oh my goodness. I'm just a girl next door. Love to have fun. Love meeting people. Love learning and love teaching people what I know. What I've experienced or what I've just learned. And yeah.
Wow, you're so beautiful.
Thank you. It's the inside game.
Yes, it is.
I can't.
I love the inside game.
I can't take credit for the outside. Yeah. My parents, my mom was 5'10", my dad was 6'4", so I didn't really have a choice.
Wow.
But it wasn't easy growing up.
I know it because back in our day, to be tall was not. I hated being tall when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
Until somebody said model, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But tall was, and I was real skinny.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you was too.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult.
Yeah, very difficult. I played sports, so that helped.
I played basketball.
So I played field hockey, so I was tough, because you can't be no soft, playing field hockey.
Yeah.
I played basketball, of course. And then I played varsity softball as a freshman. So I was very athletic. And today I play tennis to try and keep it
tight.
I call
keep
it
tight.
the country club lifestyle.
Okay.
I should get into golf too, but just
know what I do want to golf. I want to put on that little bitty skirt.
See,
that's what I want to do.
All the model girls want to put on the little bitty skirt. That's all they want to do. No, but I don't know. I've gone to a couple of what they call, I think they call them scrambles or rounds, and they put all of 3 or 4 people on one team.
Yes,
and we do the best shot, and it's usually for fundraising and stuff like that.
Well, so we got to get into that.
Yeah,
and put on little bitty skirts.
I got a whole husband. I don't need to put on a little bit. I mean, I can, but that's giving
I'm sure he like you in a little skirt.
But they give a lot of leg to the other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They give a leg to all the people.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we go out there and have some fun.
You can't wear pajamas out there.
I'm gonna wear my little clothes now.
Okay. So tell me a day in Tracy's life of growing up in Philadelphia.
Okay, so let me say this. I'm from Chester, Pennsylvania. It's outside of Philly. And so you just want to go into the big city. It's probably 25 miles outside of Philly. But Dr. King went to seminary there when he was coming up. So that's where he went to seminary. Okay. So, pretty decent student. I even ran for Miss Teenage Pennsylvania.
Did you?
Yeah, I placed third. I mean, I was the only girl of color. So sometimes when you're the only one,
you really want first place.
I don't know, because there was some pretty. But I'm just saying, sometimes people make you think that when you're the only one that you don't belong, or you're, or sometimes your own people say, well, they had to pick you because you were there.
Right.
But that's how I got to college on the scholarship that I won from that pageant. So I needed to win.
That's great.
Yeah, Johnson & Wales University. I went to the Providence, Rhode Island branch, and I needed that too because it was a, PWI. And my elementary school, Booker T. My middle school, Frederick Douglass.
Oh my!
So my mother went to Cheney University, so I needed, to have a different experience. But I did Girl Scouts, so I look at that part like as an adult person, I could look back and say, Girl Scout meet Glamour Girl.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So once I got to college, all of my roommates, I think maybe the exception of 2 over that time period, were fashion majors.
And you just got caught up in it.
Yeah, I got caught up.
You caught the bug. You caught the bug.
You know what? They would dress me. They would teach in, okay, so we got fake IDs. You know how that go.
I had a couple.
But they would, put me in outfits because I mean, I had played sports, so you
Mhm.
kind of, I didn't really know how to put on a dress with heels. And I mean, they would put me in things and we would get in, we get in the club, we get pushed to the front of the line and stuff like that.
Aw.
But I was so cool that, it didn't, like I was still down to earth. I had no idea what I looked like.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you were forced when you walk in the room.
Like I led
Yeah.
with intellect. I led with what I knew. Like I
Mhm.
wasn't taught to lead with my, body. I wasn't one that put my, self out there like that. So I was awkward,
Okay.
And once I graduated, started working my corporate job, people would come back in the computer room and they'd be like, "What you doing back here?" And I said, "What you mean?" They were like, you fixing our computer problems on, on the phone. But when we come back here, we weren't expecting to see you.
You.
And I was like, "Oh, okay then." And and people have been telling me over time, over the years, you should be modeling, but no one kind of showed me the way.
Yeah, me too. I understand that.
Yeah.
Completely. So at this time when you were before you went off to college,
Mhm.
let's set the stage for the first time when you met your to-be husband.
Okay. So
Because you was in high school, correct?
yeah, I was in high school, and
Okay.
actually, I'm older than he is. I was a popular senior,
Mhm.
and he was a freshman. And I was popular mainly because I played sports. I was,
Mhm.
busy, active, and so I knew him
Mhm.
because the freshman boys would sometimes practice with the varsity girls.
Mhm. Oh,
The
wow.
freshman boys
Yes.
basketball, but I didn't know he was crushing. But at the same time, he probably wouldn't have said anything,
Yeah.
just because I was a
Because you were so
senior.
popular,
Yeah.
and he was a freshman,
Yeah.
and that you just don't dare cross that line.
Yeah. But I realized too, even that I was, if you were cool, I was cool. Like it
Mhm.
didn't matter
Mhm.
to me. I mean, it probably mattered then. I had a boyfriend anyway, but still, like it didn't matter if you were a freshman, if you were popular, if you were a kid who hookied all the time. If you were
Right.
cool, we were cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get to the point of college now,
Yeah.
and you are hanging out with these fashion divas.
Yeah, I'm
and
everywhere.
divettes.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. I mean,
Okay.
we went to Virginia Beach. We were hanging out down there. We were in Providence. So they had Providence College. I mean, I'm from outside of Philly. So Big East basketball was a big thing.
Mhm.
So I was all into it. I mean, I'm 6'1", so I thought my husband would be in the NBA. Like, why?
You already know.
You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't I have a husband in the NBA? But we were there, so we went to Providence games. Sometimes we would go down to UConn, like if Pitt came into town.
Mhm.
So I knew who the guys were. I watched, and I would say, after we might hang out, be like, "Hey, what's up?" But my friends was like, "Hey, what's up?" And they were just kind of cool. The guys would just be cool with me
Mhm.
because I was just cool. They weren't checking for me though.
So they weren't checking for you.
Nah, they weren't checking for me. I wasn't that cute.
And you know what? It was like when we were growing up, we were tall and awkward looking.
Yeah.
And wasn't the cutest things.
Not at all.
But look at my camera and look at your camera. But look at us now.
Well, look at us now. Eat your heart out.
Okay.
Eat your
Okay,
heart
look
out.
at there. Well, now
Yeah.
tell me, describe, what was you doing in this picture?
So I'm modeling around a pool at a local bar tavern. Yeah, they had a fashion show around the pool, and right in the corner of that picture, that's probably my mom sitting there watching, trying to make sure that I'm being too fast or whatever.
Keeping the eye on you, huh?
Yeah.
So your
definitely.
parents kind of your parents were together when you were growing up.
No. My parents divorced. I think I was in kindergarten or first
Mhm,
grade, and then later on they both remarried.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you had two sets of parents now.
Yeah, I
You
had
had four parents altogether.
Yeah, a stepmom, or
Okay.
and I mean, my dad remarried. I was in my 20s, early 20s,
Okay.
and then my mom remarried.
So when did you get into modeling and then you went abroad?
So I think I did like my first show. Well, I think so a lady opened. Now, a lady did open a modeling school, and I think I was about 12 or 13,
Mhm.
but my household budget couldn't, that was not something that they were interested in. So I went at the tail end. Like a lot of the kids were going, a lot of the girls were going. And I went at the tail end and I did one show with her and I got a good response. But then after that, I think she shut down her school. And then I just got, had other interests. But once I got to college and then I came and started working a corporate job, I started taking classes.
Okay.
I signed up. There's, you have what, Barbizon? You have,
so let's stop
I didn't
there.
go to Barbizon.
Let's stop there. When we were coming up, the white children that had potential to model, they didn't have to pay. But the black kids, we had to pay because I went to Barbizon.
Okay, wow. See, I didn't go to Barbizon. Yeah. I went to John Robert Powers, which a similar program. And people was telling me, you don't need to pay. You don't need to pay. I let people get in my ear about that because at this point in the game, you definitely need training. Everyone should train for whatever it is they're trying to do. And modeling is not this frivolous thing where you just need to be pretty. Pretty is not even one of the things. You have to have skills and you have to know how to sell. And, you just have to know how to be poised and, it takes a lot. Take care of your skin, take care of your body. And so it encompasses a lot of things.
It does.
And, you get to interact with a lot of people and you don't have time to be catty or anything because 5 minutes after I meet you, we're in a room with bra and panties. No. Like it's no, you know what I'm saying?
And we're changing. And we ain't got time to dislike each other.
Yeah, you just don't have that kind of time. So it's a very, you work with people, a lot of different people. You have to carry, love and beauty and that sort of thing in you. And so, So once I got into that, I was still working my corporate job. I found, I did this one show. And I was going to be going to New York for this competition, like they call it Expo or something like that, the International Model Association or something like that. And at that time, I had put my age back because I thought I needed to. So I didn't embrace.
A little white lie about your age.
But let me tell you, once I started getting into modeling, I went ham. I was probably drinking bottled water in 1991 and 92. Like,
because water was essential. Water is essential as a model.
Yeah,
you just got to drink tons and tons of water.
I had bought a filter for the house. Like I was, so once I got into it, like I had been religious about my skincare since I was 13 or 14 years old.
And you could tell.
Like I had,
Your
I
face
did my.
is beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I had been. I mean, if you went to college with me on Mondays and Thursday nights, because back in the day they had the phones in the hallway.
Yes.
And if I got a call, they say, "Oh, Tracy, there's a call for you." I come out the room, I have my mask on, my hair be wrapped up, and I didn't care. It didn't matter. I was going to do my skincare regimen. Okay.
Oh wow! But that's essential.
I mean, I've been practicing the skincare regimen since I was about 12 or 13 years old.
And I'm just a blessed one because I didn't have a regimen for a long time. I mean, I have one now, but thank God my skin just held up.
Yeah. Well, you got good genes, good vibe, good energy.
Can't blame it on, I can't take credit for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So take us abroad. Where was your first?
So what I did, I'm working this corporate job and I'm bounced around because I initially was in IT. I was the systems, weekend systems operator, and I was fixing people computer problems. And I had no passion for that. That was just none. That was just, I literally was like, I need to make money, grew up in the housing development. So I was like, I need to make money. And so I was in that company, and then I transferred into another department, and ultimately I ended up in HR. So in HR, was training people and learning more about that. So something came across my desk. A memo came across my desk, and it said one of the corporate leaders in our French division needed a nanny, an au pair for his granddaughter.
Wow.
It landed on my desk.
On your desk?
Yes, it did.
How did that land on your desk?
It was just like inner office thing.
Memos.
In their office memo. If whatever people needed, things for the summer. So that's what he said. He needed a nanny. And so initially I thought of myself, but at that time I think I was 24 24, 25. And I was like, well, I had already heard that I was older. I was black. And not necessarily from agency or modeling people.
You heard it from the streets.
Yeah.
And you took it word for word.
Yes, I did. I sure did. I allowed them to make me think that I didn't have.
Too old.
Yeah. And so when I went to New York to that modeling competition, I was up there not being honest. And and those people were experiencing, but what I did, I got a card from everyone. Like I went to all the different booths. I shook hands. I had some callbacks. I signed with this agency called Just Kids. And that was even, and I was their teenager.
Because you were saying that you were a teenager.
Well, I was saying that I was, younger than I was. Yeah. Probably pushed my age 5 years back. And I had been doing that for many, many years. I'd said people I was born in 1972.
Did you forget sometimes?
Yeah, that's why
I had an aunt used to always say she was 35 all the time, and couldn't remember really how old she was.
Yeah, so at some point, so I did that for a long time. Yeah, but I could also pass, like at some point, because I was on to my skincare. I was doing, drinking my water, walking, running, doing things, trying to take care of myself so that I could stand next to a 19-year-old and you wouldn't tell the difference. So I put in the work. But yeah, when that memo came on my desk, I, asked around the company, like, hey, I put it out there. Anyone have any kids that possibly just graduated from high school, don't really know what they want to do, or anyone have any kids that maybe just graduated from college and they don't really know what they want to do? Trying to find someone. But in the back of my head, I thought, I should take this opportunity.
And then you can explore other opportunities.
Yeah. So, and then I reached out to some photographers I knew in Philadelphia who I had shot with. And, said, hey, any of the models you work with, shot with, any of them you think would want to go? And got nothing back. Nobody. And I said, that's when I just put myself out there. And he responded. He said, you know what? I know your name on memo. I know people who know who you are. Come on.
Wow. Yeah. So you went to Paris.
Yeah, I went. Well, I was in a town outside of Paris called Orléans. It's the home of Joan of Arc. So I got a lot of French history when I was there. And so they were, as far as I was concerned, wealthy people. They had a very beautiful home, and on their property, they had a small cottage. And that's where
you got to stay in that cottage.
No. Listen, so their daughter and their son-in-law with the baby, with their grandbaby, lived in the cottage.
Okay.
And then I lived in the house with the CEO and his wife, the Boussants.
That's so French.
Yes. And let me tell you, I'm really, I'm so blessed to have had that opportunity. I knew absolutely nothing about France, nothing other than French fries, French salads, toast. French toast, and French salad dressing. And trust me, none of those things are French the way we know them.
Right.
And at the time, I was dating this guy, and I kept asking him, I said, what we doing? What you doing? And he didn't have a plan. And you know what? He didn't have a plan. I put that for sale sign in my Honda Accord window. I went to Home Depot and got that sign and put it in my car window. I told my sisters, I said, don't tell, because my mom's a school teacher. And I was like, do not tell her. I have to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. I didn't even put the paperwork for my passport in the mail. I drove to DC. Like I filled out paperwork and drove to DC with my money order.
And got your passport.
Yeah.
Because you can get it you can get it in a couple hours.
Yeah. And then I drove back to DC to the French embassy so I could get my visa. And
you were serious at that point.
And within 6 weeks, like I packed up my stuff, put it in the basement and of my parents' home, my mom's home, and I was out.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, because I had been doing shows in and around Philadelphia. I used to go to DC and do shows. I would go to New York to do shows. And people would, when I was in Philly, people say, you need to be in New York. And I would go to New York.
And New York, you would say you need to be somewhere else.
Yeah, they would tell me I need to be in Paris.
Yes.
And I was serious. Like I had, I would drive to New York. I would do shows. And I would have some college friends that I knew. They would drive back to Philly. I would be sleeping in my car. They would drive to the train station or the bus station, drive me back to Philly, and then get on the bus or get on the train and go back to New York. They would let me, that's how like, I don't want to say thirsty, hungry, driven.
But you was driven.
Yeah.
You was driven, and it took that.
Yeah.
But then, you know, the higher power always know our path.
Yeah.
And that memo didn't fall on your desk by accident.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for anybody else.
It wasn't for, obviously it wasn't, it was for me. And I tried to give it away because, I knew nothing about it.
You ain't giving away your blessing.
I knew nothing. And what it did for me, I was there for almost, 2.5 years. And I was a living babysitter, essentially, or a teacher. And here's the deal. I got there, she was, 13 months. So we were learning, she was learning French too. You know what I'm saying? Because she was an infant, right? So she learning how to speak and I'm learning how to speak. So we on the same level. Of course, she don't know other words. So she's learning and we learning together.
So did you get to do some modeling there?
I did. I went to, once a week I took a French lesson at, I would call it like the Y. Mm-hmm. And it was like a, community center. Yeah. So I did some things there. But mainly I was trying to get to Paris. Mm-hmm. And this is why sometimes when I talk to young people, they have no idea. Mm-hmm. Because first of all, we had to get dressed. We had to put clothes on, go to a library, do some research. Mm-hmm. You could be home in your bed with your T-shirt and panties on and fine.
Yes.
So when I would travel, I would always take the yellow pages from a hotel. Like if I was traveling, and I would always look up modeling agencies, modeling, all the things, and I would be in touch. So when I did that model competition in New York, I grabbed cards from all the agencies. Mm-hmm. Like it didn't matter. I even grabbed some from London. And so when I made it to Paris, like 2 years later, I went to those places. You know what I mean? I went to them. I reached out. Mm-hmm. I went to them. Mm-hmm. And, I went to London and I had the business card of people. So, the people weren't there anymore and they would say, oh, the same thing. You're not really what we're looking for, but it was okay because I learned how to show up. Yes. Like when I came back to the States, everybody who had told me no told me yes. I was I was booked and busy before booked and busy was a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yes. And people saw my growth. They saw my growth. Like if before that, if they told me no, I was feeling like I wasn't enough and all this sort of thing and feeling left out. But after that, how you going? The confidence level was just there.
And now we learn how to take no in stride. No don't mean nothing but another yes down the street.
Yeah, not yet, not now. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, you're like, let's run to the next one so we could get the next no, so we could get to the yes.
When I first started modeling here in Atlanta, and I wouldn't get picked for fashion shows, I was like, my feelings was hurt. Mm-hmm. But now I'm turning down fashion shows.
Listen, you booked and busy. Atlanta is a tough market. Atlanta's a tough market. It's to me, it's sort of a niche market. And I say that because I work in mixed company. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so things are a little different. They want a lot of, they want more, I'm going to call it entertainment modeling. And,
here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I'm, and it's a lot, yes, work and all. I've done a lot of showroom. Mm-hmm. And so showroom is straight up buyers from, JCPenney or Macy's. Mm-hmm. They just want to see it and they want to look at it and say, okay, I'm going to need that. How many colors does that come in? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to need to place an order and they're going to drop money. Yes. That's what they're there for. Yeah. And they don't care about meeting me or knowing me or anything like that. Yes. They're just wanting me to show the piece. Yes. And just wear it and let it do what it do.
And a lot of a lot of modeling here is for the fashion show coordinators. They who puts it together. They make the money. You
Yeah.
know, the models aren't getting paid.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
You know, and I've done many free shows.
Yeah.
I mean, I've started out. I used and I went to Philly and I got paid for that show. I did just recently.
The one that you just went
Yeah,
to.
I went to and I was so honored that they would even ask me to come and do the show. But there was a lady out there, Cookie Robinson, her boutique back in the day, Cookie's Boutique, and she had the best clothes.
Is that the one that you had the white gown on? Can I see some of those pictures of Tracy, please?
Let me see.
The one that you had a white. It was you was on a stage.
Oh, maybe Philly. That was recent. No, so now that's Stephen Hudgen. She's now the lady who did my makeup and the stylist. Kevin Love is now the designer, but he was the wardrobe stylist back then. They styled that. I'll call that gutter glam.
Gutter glam. Because I like all the gutter.
But that was really going on.
Yes.
Like we shouldn't have been in there.
And that's where I want to take some pictures. I'm going on a photo shoot on the 25th. I want to go to some of the ugliest places.
Yeah.
And take pictures. So that right there, I love that picture. Can you show the one that we're bring another one up?
Yeah, I think that might have been like 90. This one might have been 90.
That's when you was in Paris, right?
No, I think I'm not even sure at this point. But
how were you there?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. You know, I'm trying to figure that out.
You look to be like 25-ish, maybe.
And we clipped a little hair on the back to give me a long little ponytail.
Y'all clipped that. That was a clip on back then.
Yeah, a little clip on. Yeah, a little clip on.
All right. Now
that's recent. Like that was right before COVID.
Wow,
that's how I met this photographer here. I'm trying to think of her
name. Love that hair on you, too.
I met her and she introduced me to TLA. She knew Tina. She told me I should reach out to Tina.
Wow.
Yeah. So the photographer that shot this, because
there's a lady photographer?
Yeah, a lady photographer. Her name escapes me right now.
Her name is Jo. Light-skinned lady.
Oh, Stacy. Yes. I think she has really like green eyes or something like that. She's from LA.
Yes.
She's from LA.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
she shot that. And we did 3 looks. We did 3 or 4 looks. But in the process of doing that photo shoot with her, she said that you should teach a master class. Yes. Because I did my hair, my makeup, my styling. I did everything.
Yeah. And that looks to be like an older picture right there.
Yeah.
Like a picture, not you being older, but the clothes, the look. It looks like back like in the early 2000s.
So that's a dress, actually.
Oh, wow.
I wanted that for the sleeve.
Yeah, the sleeves are drama.
Yeah.
They're dramatic.
And so I pulled the skirt on and just made it do what it do.
So you put a skirt over top of the dress.
That's right.
Yeah, I like that.
So I can do all the jobs because as a model, a lot of times, especially when you're really trained, you train to do all the jobs.
Yes.
That's what keeps you working. You know, some models can't do their own makeup, like some models can't style themselves.
When I first started, I couldn't do my own makeup.
Yeah.
Oh, I was paying people left and right.
Yeah, I started paying people when and I was going to Chanel counter.
When is this picture?
Oh, so that's
when you were really young, wasn't it?
This guy just passed recently, Milton Perry, and I got so much work from this headshot. I got
great headshot.
Much work from that headshot. I got a lot of work.
Can you show me the most recent one, the one in the red? This is my favorite. I'm sorry. That's my favorite right there. Looking like Diana Ross' sister.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I styled this myself. So I saw in TLA they had there was I think it was Lady in Red, and they said, submit for it. Mm-hmm. And I put together a team, a photographer that I know I work with. And I said, I need you to find me a makeup artist. Mm-hmm. And I said, now you can't find one of these young girls that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, because you didn't need drama. But the red was there already.
She knew the young girl, but this Kalaya is her name. She was fantastic. Her mother had been a stylist. So she knew she'd been doing makeup since she was 14 and she's like 21 or something. So
that was beautiful.
But we styled that. That's the skirt and we just pulled it up and turned it that way.
Wow.
So, I just pulled every red piece out of my closet. And we figured out how to pull something together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have had an assistant though, so I could,
I know.
just kind of model. Because sometimes I just want to model. I don't want to do all the jobs.
I know. The last time I did a photo shoot, I won't do another photo shoot by myself.
Mhm.
I need somebody there to
Yeah.
help me, to tell me if I have a piece of hair sticking
Yeah.
out or my lipstick is crumbly,
Mhm.
so I won't do a photo. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, I got somebody going with me. I will not do another photo
Yeah, let me
shoot.
know. I'll
And
go.
I don't
we can
wanna
work.
do
Yeah,
I
because you
don't
do
wanna
all the
do it all by
jobs.
myself.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no.
you can, but you don't want to. So to get the best work, right?
Yes.
To be able to get the best work, you definitely want to have a team,
Yes.
because the photographer only sees
See.
angles, lighting.
The photographer that I had one time, my areola was showing. I was like, "How did you?" He said, "I thought that's how you wanted it." It was like, for real.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So now, speed up. You are back in the States, and
Yeah.
that person, that freshman that you met,
Yeah.
and when you were in high school,
Yeah.
now you're coming back to the States,
Yeah.
and you run into him again.
Actually, well, let me see. So no, I'm back in Philly. I, going back and forth to New York, and I'm just doing what I do, working, networking. And, thank God for Facebook. So now I'm back in New York. I'm living there. And I was dating this guy because I had a pattern. I dated ambitious,
Preference.
well,
Preference.
I was their type,
Mm-hmm.
I was their type. And it might have been my type too,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, suited, booted, ambitious, entrepreneurial. And so, yeah. And the last one, I was like, I'm not going to be your 40-year-old girlfriend for the next 10 years. I'm just not going to do it, because I had allowed someone to kind of drag me along through my 30s, and he married someone else. So it was very heartbreaking.
Yes.
I gave him a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
from,
when your heart was broken, when your heart got broken, did it stagnate you and make you think, okay, you know what? I don't even want to date right now. I
don't know if I think I probably would have been okay. It was, friends and family. When you show up to events, you ain't married yet. You don't have no kids yet. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, they ask you about kids first before they ask you, are you married? And so, it's not, you try to question yourself, like, what's going on with, and I don't think, honestly, women shouldn't make that, you don't want to make it a priority. I think, like, we came up in a time where, women started to have careers.
Yes.
Right. And so I mean, if you don't know what you're doing with me and you don't know what we're doing with us, I got to do my career. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So I chose to do my career.
Okay.
I did. And, but then I was going to church, right? I was going to church, and I still listen to this church online, Enon Tabernacle Baptist. The Reverend Dr. Waller, he's from Cleveland, actually.
Is he?
He is. He grew up in Cleveland, yes. And I think he's a second or third generation pastor. So church in Philadelphia, it's a mega church for Philadelphia standards, but I started going there, and I started going there. I was going there for about a year or two before I joined, because it had become a popular church. So I just wanted to make sure I was true to it. Got baptized and started going to Bible study. And then I got involved. And I started going to the singles ministry. And sometimes people get in singles ministry looking for a husband, but I wasn't there to look for a husband. I was looking to be a better single person.
But you also told me that you went to the marriage ministry.
Yes. Okay.
And you wasn't married.
No. Okay. So they had a ministry called Praying Wives. They had a ministry called Praying Wives. And I had this, like, I knew I was good at being single. So I wanted to go to the Praying Wives ministry to learn how to be married, because I believe if you want to know how to do something, you take a class. That's what you do. You go to that. And one time they were like, you never share. And I was like, I don't have anything to share. I don't have a husband. So they prefer me not to be there. I think it was, because I had no stories.
Get out of our class.
Well, and because some people were sharing, and I promise you, I wasn't looking for nobody's husband. I wasn't checking for nobody's husband. I just want to know how to be a praying wife.
Do you think they thought you were?
I mean, probably, because they were, And it wasn't personal. It really wasn't. It was them trying to be better wives and trying to understand. But I learned, that you pray not only for your husband, but you pray for the people he around, his coworkers. You pray for, his friends, the friends that, do things that step out on their ladies, or, call their women, their wives, old ladies or whatever. Like,
Right.
you got to pray for all of that. Who influences him, what he watches, and, how he engages. So I was doing all that, but I had been dating this guy, and this guy probably thought I was cheating on him, because once I started going to Bible study and stuff, I changed,
Oh, you changed. So he thought you was cheating. She thought you was cheating on him because you were going to Bible study.
Yeah.
So did you invite him to come along?
No, I didn't. But I told him that. I mean, after a while, I did tell him what I was doing, but we had been off and on again. But I had gotten so in touch with myself. When he started acting funny and weird, I said something to one of his sisters, and she said, because we had been off and on, and she said, for as long as I've known you, you had never put up with his stuff. Don't you start now. And 3 weeks later, he married somebody else. So it
just
was
out of the
no, it wasn't out of the blue. He had been doing what he was doing, but because I wasn't in touch with myself, I didn't know. But once I started going to Bible study and started really getting my, myself, I felt it.
Start working, doing that inside work.
That's right.
Doing that inside work.
Doing that inside work. That's right. Yeah.
And you figured you out.
Yeah, I figured me out. And I said something off. I told her, and I said something to his sister, and
she told you.
She said
that
So I had a conversation with two of his sisters. One said, Tracy, for as long as I've known you, you have never put up with his stuff. See, I would just quit him. We break up. We break up. We get back together 6 months. We break up for 1.5 years. We get back together for 2 years. We break up. Like, this is what we were doing. And we started before I went to France, and we did it again when I came back.
Oh,
we
did it. So it was the same guy.
Yeah.
So when you got back, when you got back and you went through your seesaw with him, how did your husband you married to, how did he slide in there?
So I'm in New York now. I got away from that guy, and then the new guy I started dating, I just let him know I was going to be his girlfriend for the next, at 40 for the next 10 years. I just wasn't going to waste my time. And I didn't have the strength to go. So I just asked God, and he moved me back to New York, which took me like away. So I couldn't just get in my car and be to him in 20 minutes.
Were you modeling in New York?
I did some. I started getting into TV and film.
Okay.
Started getting into TV and film. And so, one day my now husband, he hit me up on Facebook, but he asked to be my Facebook friend. Now he tells people, he
tell a different story.
Well, he said it took me 3 months to accept his Facebook friendship. So even though I may have a lot of people, I think on Facebook, I may have, 1,000, 2,000, whatever. I know like everybody. These not like random people. So, I know the majority of those people. And so I knew his name, but I had to take a minute to like go and see.
So it did take you 3 months.
I don't know if it took me 3 months, but it took me a minute to go and see, and I was going through his pictures, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember him, because his name rang a bell, but I couldn't remember his face. And so when I saw the picture, I saw one particular picture, I was like, oh yeah, I remember him.
So what did
and
he
then
say?
I accept the
what did he say in your DM?
It was, thank you for accepting my friendship, whatever, like that. We caught up. Like, did you go to the class reunion? How you been? That sort of thing.
So y'all did that flirting.
Yeah, we were I'm not sure, but one day I was just like, hey, if you're ever in New York, here's my number, give me a call. And he's like, hey, if you're ever in Atlanta, here's my number, give me a call. And then like the next day or two, he back in my DM. So I just picked up the phone because I am not a
he was still trying to go to DM, and y'all done exchange numbers.
Yeah. So, but he, you know what I'm saying? I was like, you're not in New York. So, I don't know why you got DM. Like, I don't know. So I just picked up the phone and called.
What did you say?
Hey, you know, and then we just started talking from there. Like, and then he told me, because I'm not a typist. I'm a pecker. Like when I type, I'm not a typist. I'm not a keyboardist. So I'm not going to keep, doing that because that just takes time. So I'm a talker, like a big phone call people. And we talked, and he was telling me there are guys that I know that he and I know mutually, and they would see me out on the scene because I worked at events. You know, when you're a model, you're a hostess, you're a greeter, you do all these things. So I was always out somewhere, but I'd be working too, you know, when I'm working it. And I would see these, and they never told me that he had asked about me. But he had,
because he had asked about you, but nobody told you.
Well, they didn't tell me. They told him, like, man, you don't have a chance. That girl that lived in Paris, she done lived in New York. You know, you ain't gonna. But he had come here. He went to Morris Brown College. He graduated. He married. So I call myself the remix. So I'm wife number 2.
So he the remix. Yeah.
So he married. He had kids. You know, and today we have a grandbaby. But I'm just saying, like, you know, they never told me. Wow. They never told me that he would ask.
So who made the first move? Because I see he made you move all the way to Atlanta.
That's right. Well, let me tell you. No. I was living in New York. I had one roommate, and if you know, all the neighborhoods, you know, are regentrifying and all of that, and I probably would have needed to get another one, and I didn't want that either. And I wanted to be married.
Yes.
Like I wanted to be married, and so when I came to visit, I took him around my friends, a couple of my college friends, and a girl I used to do events with in Philly. And everybody said the same thing. He's different. He's different.
He's different than you dated, or he's just a different person?
Nope, he's different than what I dated. And I heard God say, you want something different, you got to do something different. You know, they all agree, like they all, and I said, okay. And he said, will you come back? And I said, we'll see. You know, we'll see.
How long did you see? Because you back. You've been back.
I did. I made a pit stop. At that time, my mom had taken ill. So I made a pit stop and, you know, and moved from New York and put all my stuff in storage. And I shipped some stuff here. And that's why I was just
to Atlanta?
Yeah. When I told him that, when I finally said I will come, you know, and, but I was in, you know, Pennsylvania for a couple months. But I had started sending some stuff, like going through, but I put stuff in.
So he knew you was coming.
Yeah, he knew I was coming.
You was UPS, the stork was dropping.
Yeah, I
dropping little stuff off in.
He was like, yeah, I was shipping boxes. I sure was.
Okay.
And, you know, stay there, you know, help take care of my mom. And I was telling people, oh, when I leave here, I'm moving to Atlanta and I'm going to marry him. I was just telling people that's what I was going to do. But, you know, that's kind of how I have been. Like, I'm just what I'm doing. And my, you know, my family had not met him. And his mother was still living at the time. So I went to see her because she, you know, we grew up in the same.
So she was in Philly still?
Yeah. Okay. She was there. So I went to visit her and meet her, you know, met his brother, and I knew his niece. His niece is our age. But yeah. You know, I went and met his mom. I sure did.
You did a thing like a man would normally do. Go meet your mom.
But he was in Atlanta, and I didn't know when he was going to come home. And he hadn't been home in many years. So I didn't know when he was going to come. So I didn't want to wait. Yeah. So I went and met her myself.
So how big is trust in a relationship? When you are a model or in the public eye, you know, because when I talk to guys now that are interested in me, the first thing they say is, you know, you're a flight attendant. You know, you model, you around men all the time. You know, how big is the trust that you all have in that aspect?
I think that's just what I do. I don't think that, you know, who I am is way different.
But his trust.
Well, it's, you are who you are. I think he trusts that I'm going to, you know, we're friends. You know,
so
like, I'm going to tell you, I cried like a baby when he was, he was like, well, you marry me. And we didn't do anything traditional. Like, we don't have rings. First of all, I'm just keeping it honest. We have that credit. Right. So why are you trying to do a show for people when you don't have it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Let's build, let's get our.
That's that gut honesty. That,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
all the way in. Like, just saying we don't have the money to buy and put this thing on.
Yeah. A show for people. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all got married, what, 2012?
2012.
And y'all still don't wear rings?
No. We still don't wear rings. We thought about getting some, last year or whatever. And I was like, we'll see. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes that attracts people. You know, that attracts people. People think they could do more. They think they can do better.
Ring. Sorry.
For what? You know, traditionally now, I want to be real here, because we do a lot of this as a community of people. First of all, our ancestors didn't have all these things.
That's true.
And they didn't require these things. None of those things make you married. You have to commit. You know, you just have to commit, and you know that's what you want, and you honor that. It's hard to find a good partner, a good friend, someone who works with you, someone who understands you and, respects what you do and understand that it's just a job. When I'm not working and doing all the things, we home watching Netflix. Now, he might want to watch stuff on Tubi. I'm like, no, Tubi. But I have friends who, they have movies there, and I want to support them at the same time. But sometimes the lighting and things like that, because I've worked on
the filming.
So sometimes it's a little hard to, but he he's an intellect, and he's a science guy, so that opposites attract or that sort of thing. But we listen to good music. And
do he come out and support you? Have you been to?
Yeah, he comes to the show. He comes to the show. He has some, because he's seen me do a different level of show. So, but he's there to support. He doesn't hang around. He comes in and watch. I mean, for this year, I think they said it was one VIP. So I said I might get him one just so he can, enjoy it.
Have the whole experience. Of it.
But he's come in. He has his critique.
Okay, tell me. Oh, he critique you when you get done. Say
not necessarily me. This overall. Just the
overall.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is next for you and your BFF?
He's planning to retire because he's been in education for many years. So he has time. He has the time in, and so he wants to do something else. And I'm excited for him because he's always wanted to do something different. And so now he can.
What are you all gonna do?
We gonna do what we do.
Okay. She don't want to tell us, y'all.
I mean, we go to Hilton Head. We love that.
Would you ever take him on a trip down memory lane and take him to Paris and?
I would love for him to do those things. I mean, I've been to Africa too. I visited. I have French friends who invited me. They got married.
Africa, so my dream to go to Africa.
So there's so many countries to see. So I would love for us to go back and see. But I would love us to go home and do things that we would do as teenagers. Like if we had actually dated, we could, go to the Jersey Shore. Go to New York, go to DC, like go to Baltimore, because all of those things are like within 2 hours.
Yes, and that was the things that you all did. Both of y'all did it, but did it separately.
Yeah, we didn't do it together.
So you could do it together.
Yeah. Okay. So I would love for us to, that would be the memory lane for me, for us. And I say those things to him, let's do it. He'll say, and he'll say, but you did it already. I ain't do it with you.
Right. It's a whole different look when you can see through someone else's eyes.
Yeah. So I would love for us to do that so we could have that, sweet 16 or 21, when you're young and fun, it's cute. It's like, because this is, if we were young, these are the places that we would go, and these would be the things that we would experience. Go to Wildwood, watch the tram car, get some cotton candy. That sort of
like 2 a.m. in New York, walking around eating chocolate cake.
Yeah. Just out there. You know what I mean? I would love for us to do stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for closing here, what would you tell a young girl out there that is pursuing modeling, what would
Ooh.
you tell her? Just a
First
quick
of all,
summary of.
put your clothes on. I think a lot of times you're on Instagram and you're just putting it out there for free. You devalue because you're young, right? When you grown, you can show people a little something. But when you're young, if you start off like that, that's going to be your path, and you're giving it for free. So that thing. Also, to be dedicated, do the work. It's not about other people, other, that girl's prettier, that girl's taller, that girl's this and that. It's about you developing your talent, your gift, learning your craft completely. And so you can have longevity, right?
Yes.
And, yeah. Yes. Because everybody looks good at 18. We over here, you know what I'm saying?
Look good at 60. And
yeah. Yeah.
How old are you, Tracy?
I'm 57 now. Yeah. Tell the truth.
Are you telling the truth?
I think I'll be 57. I think I will be 57.
Well, you know what? It's a pleasure. And when you came to my 60th birthday party,
it was a good time.
You brought so much energy. You didn't know me from Adam or Eve, and you made me so comfortable.
Yeah.
I adore you.
I likewise. Okay. And thank you for having me. Yes. It's been great. I'm just happy to be here. For real, for real.
I'm glad to have you here. I am. And I definitely will bring you back because we got to find out what her husband going to do later on when he retired. All right.
Lord. She want me swinging from the chandeliers and all that.
Yes. Because I get a husband, I'm swinging. If he want me to swing, I'm swinging. It ain't nothing wrong with swinging.
No, it's nothing wrong
your husband.
For your husband. You do the things for your husband, but that's for your husband.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. As we wrap up this enlightening episode of the Diary of Dating Over 50, we had the pleasure of hearing from a remarkable guest, a model who traveled abroad, experienced life in the limelight, and ultimately returned to the U.S. to find her true love. Your journey is beautiful, a reminder that love can flourish in unexpected ways, no matter where life takes you. It's inspiring to see how your experience shaped your understanding to relationships and helped you recognize what truly matters in a partner. For our listeners, take this story to heart. Whether you're navigating the dating scene or reflecting on your past relationships, remember that it's never too late to find happiness and connection. Your unique journey has value, and love often finds you when you least expect it. Thank you for sharing your insight and experience with us today. We appreciate your authenticity and the lessons you've imparted with us. Until next time, keep exploring love connections in your own lives. Remember, it is about the journey and the connection. Again, I'm Tanya R. Lewis with the Diary of Dating Over 50. And remember, I'm an advocate for sex trafficking. We have this huge event. You're going to see multiple things in YouTube. You can look at my YouTube and you'll be able to see all the things that are coming up. I appreciate you guys. And thank you for joining me tonight with this episode.